it's the next level.
That's crazy, right?
What are your superpowers?
Superpowers, dude? I don't even know how to pee in this thing.
Panels to Pixels Shazam movie review. Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And we're going to be talking about the new Shazam movie.
Yeah.
We got to see. Finally, it dropped, and I went yesterday after work, so today is Saturday, and we're actually podcasting on a Saturday in true time.
Yeah, I went yesterday afternoon as well, and got to see it and jotted down some notes and stuff. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I really love this show. So we have a segment now that we're going to do what we liked or loved about the actual movie. So what did you like or loved?
The very first thing I like is just I enjoyed it. I have to say I did love it. I don't know. It's hard for me to because Captain Marvel was so good, and that has created the benchmark in me for everything. Like, so I enjoyed it. I'm not going to say I'm in love with it, that it was amazing. It was good. It was enjoyable. I really liked it. I don't have a lot of negative to say about it, but I do like the fact that we've really not had that superhero who doesn't understand his powers. We haven't had that in a while. We haven't had, if you watch Smallville, you got to see a little bit of that, and that was kind of a running theme through all whatever 12 or 13 seasons of Smallville was him, kind of discovering his powers. And getting to see Zachary Levi, I don't think I've seen him except for Chuck, and he did a part in the Psych movie. Other than that, I really haven't seen him do much. And so it was really nice to get to see him act like a 15-year-old boy in this grown-up man's body. It was really funny.
Oh, yeah, definitely. This was definitely a comedic film. But what I really loved about this movie is for how innocent it was. The way it was created for a family to pretty much watch. Even though it was PG-13, it was really meant for the whole family. And the way that Zachary Levi played the innocent kid in a grown man's body, it just spoke words to me of the movie Big with Tom Hanks. And how in the movie Big, he's this little kid that gets turned into an adult because he wished on something, which was pretty much, if you think about it, it's all about magic, just like Shazam is. And in the movie, he's creating, stuff for toys for kids and stuff like that as an adult, even though he's a kid deep down inside in this big, huge body. And he is creating a comic book, like a computerized comic book, Choose Your Own Path. And it was something about the wizard and everything. It just reminded me of that and all the little hijinks that went on it. And it was really cool. Plus seeing Cooper Anderson in it.
Cooper Andrews. Yes.
Cooper Andrews. There you go. I always get his name wrong.
Yeah. As soon as I saw his name in the credits, I was like, I didn't know he was in this, and so it was really exciting. Or as soon as we saw him, I can't remember which was first, if his name showed up or if he showed up first. But whatever it was, as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, I can't believe he's in this movie. The only point I'm going to disagree with you on a little bit, and it's not huge.
Sure.
And maybe it shows that there's a shift in society with the family, because to me, this is not a movie, like I would not recommend this movie for like little kids.
No, not very little kids.
Yeah,
but kids who are coming of that age, I would say.
Yeah, if they're teenagers, if they're 12, 13ish, they're getting in that teenager realm, I could recommend it because I think it'd be okay. I think PG-13 was the right rating for this. When I was watching it, I thought it was rated PG.
Same here.
So it really surprised me with all and I've got this later in my notes, especially, but we can talk about it right now, is the dark moments. I mean, it starts dark, man. I mean, when that car accident happens, you don't know if the dad is alive or dead.
Yeah.
It just like as soon as that happened, I was like, oh my goodness. And then when he goes into the boardroom and he throws the brother out the window,
Oh,
Like,
that was extreme. I was like, wow, this went a little further. Is this PG or PG-13?
Yeah,
I didn't realize it.
Yeah, I think I gasped in the movie theater when he did that because I was like, "Wait a minute! Did he just throw his brother out the window?"
Yeah.
You know, and then you see all the shadows on the wall as they're attacking the other board members. That whole scene of them attacking the board members, eating the guy's head, and
Yeah.
then at the end he gives his dad to Greed. You know, I was like, this is not a kids movie. I'm gonna come back again. I enjoyed it. I really liked it. It's not a kids movie though.
No,
This
no,
is,
no. But I would
you know,
say, I would say it's like a family, but an older,
Okay,
generation of family.
Yeah. If you've got, like I said, if you've got teenagers who are, and like it is, there's a bit of a societal change because we know we've got people we know in the group who like their 8 and 9-year-olds have watched The Walking Dead or watched some of this stuff. You know, maybe it'd be okay for them. I just really would recommend it. I would not take a little kid to this movie. I think you got some nightmare fodder in there.
Oh,
And,
yeah, definitely.
You know, so, but other than that, it was very enjoyable. I really liked it. I'm going to kind of go backwards in moments that I liked or that was interesting to me or confused me in the movie, because that part at the end with Envy, it confused me a little bit because at first, he's got Envy on top of him and he says Shazam and the lightning bolt happens and Envy disappears, and then he says Shazam again and he goes and he rescues the doctor, and then he goes back to the carnival to be with his family, and you see Envy reappear on the roof briefly. And when that happened, I thought that meant that Envy was now apart from everything. And so when all the demons got sucked back into the sphere, I kept wondering, well, did Envy get sucked in there? Because maybe he was far enough away or whatever. But of course, at the end, I tried to count. There was a very quick shot of the statues, but I did count, and it did look like there were 7 statues.
No, they were there. Yeah.
So he ended up back in the sphere. It's just that part confused me a little bit when I saw Envy kind of reappear there on the roof.
Yeah, that was a little bit strange, but I'm pretty sure once this comes out or goes to streaming and people are picking it apart, they'll probably have the same thing going on.
Yeah,
too.
and I don't, like I said, I'm not making a huge criticism of it with the movie, but it was a confusing part to me.
Like I said before, I like the whole family thought throughout the movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that was a good feeling to me. But the best part of it for me was like I love the gags in the movie. This was constantly funny, and figuring out his powers with his brother Freddy or his foster brother.
Yeah,
He's putting through all these tasks. Here, are you fireproof? And he's like,
that was great. Yeah, the little notes to the scene, secret fire test,
Yep.
And it was really nice. That was a really good bonding kind of montage there that we got to see of them, testing out his powers and seeing what was really what he could do, what he couldn't do, and he kept going laser eyes, and he couldn't get the laser eyes to work.
Yeah, but he faked it with the
he faked it. He puts his hand up to his head. Yeah, it was great. And the only thing I'm not, and I'm going to start out. I'm starting out with 2 negatives here, I guess. But again, I was a little the whole thing, and I hope they find a way to change this, because the whole thing of a lightning bolt producing every time he changes, that seems a little problematic to me.
Yeah, it's like a red flag. It's like, oh, he's coming.
Yeah, exactly. Or
who's that kid?
Yeah, exactly. Wait, there's a kid. There was Shazam here, and now there's a kid here, or there's a kid here, and now there's Shazam. It seems it would get pretty obvious pretty quick if he didn't do that. Like when he did it in the carnival, and I was really trying to pay attention when he did it in the carnival, that
People
the
seeing him.
doctor. Well, yeah, and the doctor looked up because when he said Shazam and the lightning bolt went up, the doctor looked up, and then when he looked down, of course, he was gone, and we see Billy running through the crowd. So at that moment, it was kind of like the magician distracting people. Everybody was looking at the lightning bolt, so nobody was looking at the little kid, and I think that's a great that works for a while, but eventually, if somebody's trying to figure out like what his secret identity is, they're going to figure that out pretty quick.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And they're going to find some way to try to figure out who he is
Well, the
or-
doctor did in the one scene when Freddy was looking
Right.
for him in the mall, and he realized this kid
Yeah.
knows him, and it's a kid.
Right. Right. And then he
So-
followed. Right. He saw the TV screen. He saw the kid. He saw the cripple. He saw Freddy, and so he followed. Yeah. Yeah.
And he
so
figured out when they were arguing,
Yeah.
just like the siblings did, the foster siblings.
yeah.
And it's like, wait, isn't that how Billy and Freddy fight?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. at
And
the
so
end.
that's one of those things that when there is a sequel, I'm assuming there's going to be a sequel, that they have to figure out or kind of clear up is that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely sequel worthy, I think,
Mhm.
because it made a lot of money within a day and a half.
Did it? I haven't looked up the numbers yet. So that's,
Oh,
that's
the
cool.
numbers were like ridiculous in this thing. This is really good.
Yeah.
Because I think it had to do with the kind of like Aquaman. There was a lot of comedic styles in it, as we remember, but the
Mhm.
visuals were really cool in that movie. But in this case, it was a little bit more comedic with a little bit of dark overtones here and there.
Yeah.
Scattered around. But
Yeah.
especially with the adult tones, now we know why it's PG-13. I thought that was so funny with how it was so humorful with it, getting the beer and not liking it, and then they go back in and like,
Yeah, that was great. I love that scene because we see the scene in the trailer, and that was one of those things that I love about what they did with this movie. And they're starting to movies are starting to figure this out. They're not putting everything in the trailer because that is something that I was really glad we didn't see in the trailer.
Yeah.
We didn't see them spitting the beer out. We didn't see them going back and getting the snacks. And I thought that was really a great way to show us. We see him ordering the beer, and then in the trailer. But I'm really glad they didn't show us that in the trailer. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and the other funny thing I got that was a little bit more adult humor was, Freddy convinces him to go into the nudie bar, and he comes back out 15 minutes later. He goes, "What happened to all the money?" He goes, I gave it to them." It's like little kids. They didn't know.
Yeah, they're very convincing. Was really good. Yeah. I thought that was really cool. I felt it was a great scene acting wise, and I at first I didn't understand why they put this scene in there, but I think the more I think about it, I think they had to put it in there so that we could close the chapter, sort of close that storyline out. And that was the scene where Billy goes and finds his mother and actually talks to his mother, I think. And it felt so bad for the character. I was just like, oh my goodness, this woman is basically telling you that she didn't want you. And that was the thing that kept running through my head throughout the movie before they reveal who she is, because I kept going, did she not look for him? What happened? Was she hit by a car? Was she, did something go on? And then when we find out at the end that she simply just realized that he would be better off not being with her, it just broke my heart. And then for her to basically tell him the same thing there at his door, that she's got this guy behind her that's yelling at her, that may not be physically abusive, but obviously he's some sort of, mental and verbal abuse going on there. And she basically tells him the same thing. You're better off without me. You're better off going to that group home. And so we kind of close that chapter out, because I think people would look for that as the movie continued. If there was a sequel, they would be like, well, how come he's not still looking for his mother? Well,
Exactly.
we know why, because she turned him away. And that is what brings him to the family. And I love that scene at the end where he's at the dinner table and he puts the hand in and he says, "This is home." And because that goes back to the conversation that the mom and dad had earlier on. About he's got to be the one who chooses this as a home.
Yeah, well, it's also, not to quote Joe Dirt movie, a home is where you make it. And basically that's, he made a home and a family with these people.
Mm-hmm.
So that brought him in, which is awesome. It was pretty funny, though, to see Cooper the way he was.
Mm-hmm.
He was a little bit comedic, just as he always is in The Walking Dead. But he had his serious side of him, too.
Yeah.
Which was really good. The other thing that I had was seeing Billy's foster siblings coming together at the end, becoming superheroes as well.
Mm-hmm.
They all came together and worked well together, which was crazy. I was like, wow. So he imbued all this power of Shazam with them too.
Yeah, and that I put this later on in the notes, but I want to bring it up. I ask the question now: do you think they still have that power, or do you think that was kind of a one-off thing because he broke the staff?
I think they still have those powers.
Okay, so if they still have, so that brings, see, that opens up a whole nother issue. Then does that mean that has his power now been limited, or do they all have this? Because that's a pretty powerful character, man. I mean,
I think they all have some of what he has, but not all.
okay,
That's my feeling. Because
Yeah.
if you look, each one, like the one brother, like Freddy had the power of flight.
yeah,
The little girl, the littlest one, she was running fast.
yeah, yeah,
And then the one, this was he Spanish? I think he was
Yeah.
a big husky kid.
yeah, yeah,
He had the strength.
yeah.
They all had individual versions of what.
Okay,
Billy
that's good.
had.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that. I think you're right. So he basically, probably without diminishing his own power, he gave them each individually an aspect of
Correct.
it. So that's really good. I like that. And it harkens back to that conversation that he had with the crippled brother earlier in the show about whether you would want to fly or be invisible.
Yep.
And so that's a good pickup. I didn't think about that. It also makes me wonder if their power is kind of limited. Does that mean that we're probably not going to see it accessed all the time? It's probably going to be one of those things that would only come out in extreme situations, like the last fight of the movie, like it did here.
Yeah. Or if they were in need of it, if
Yeah.
they were in trouble, something like that. Yeah.
We already talked about this. It had quite a few scares and some really dark moments in it. So we already kind of talked about that a little bit.
Yeah. I love that they included Superman at the end during lunch for Freddy because he got beat up the last time because he didn't bring Shazam, but Shazam shows up and he goes, "Oh, I brought a friend too." But we don't see the face, so it's not Henry Cavill. They're just alluding that that's Superman. And they also mention Aquaman at the end credit scene. I think it's at the end credit scene. I forget where I saw it. But it's like, oh, can you breathe underwater? Like that guy over there. And he's got the Aquaman shirt and everything. And, they alluded to that. If you look, there was in a toy store when they were fighting Dr. Siobhan, when he was fighting and throwing all the superhero toys.
Yeah.
So they acknowledge Wonder Woman, they acknowledge Batman, they acknowledge Superman. If you looked at all the toys, they're from Justice League.
Yeah. So does that raises a question? Do you think that they're going to add this character to the greater DCU universe, or has that already been announced? Is there going to be? Is there going to be a Justice League 2, or is there? I know there's negotiations between Cavill and whether Affleck's going to continue playing Batman or not, or have they already chosen a new Batman? I don't remember.
I think they alluded to that just so that it's there if it ever comes out, because if they don't have another Justice League movie or have another Superman movie with Cavill or whatever, or have anything relating to the Justice League, they could say, well, it's in the same universe, they have met, and they didn't use a face this time. So they don't have, all we saw was the suit and his chest.
Right.
And that was it,
Okay.
So,
yeah, and I think with the fact of with the Marvel universe being so huge and making so much money, it makes you wonder if DC is going to be able to pull off what Marvel and Disney have done.
Nah, I don't. It's funny though. It's like I read about it 2 days ago, and I was having a discussion with somebody, and somebody looked it up, and they said literally that Disney has only had a part of Marvel for the past 5 or 6 years.
Right.
And think about it. Marvel has already created this, and then Disney just bought it out.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they're the ones that are in charge. They're the big boss. But Marvel created it, and a lot of those writers, and Kevin Feige is still, the big man.
Yeah, so we're going to have to see. Yeah, we're going to have to see what happens in the future. I mean, we know, like you said, Disney has bought out the plan, Marvel's whole phase, continuing phases thing, and whether they're going to follow that to the letter or not remains to be seen.
I think that DC needs to have a Kevin Feige of their own who could guide it, but they just haven't found that creature yet.
Yeah, exactly.
So the only other thing I would have would be I love that we got to see Dr. Savan become who he is in the beginning of the movie, like with the car scene. And then we figure it out later on. He's part of this procedure of looking for the symbols for the doors and all that stuff with the testing.
Yeah.
Because he wants to go back to that cave.
Yeah, that was interesting because obviously, what this has been going on for years. He's been searching for this because nobody believed him. And it almost was like the thought I had was because he was so bitter towards his brother and his father, that it was more than just them blaming him for his father being paralyzed. They had basically pushed him over kind of into a corner and just given him money and just, okay, you work your little side project of trying to find these people who have seen these symbols and this wizard who have talked to this wizard, even though we don't believe it actually happened. We're going to throw money at you and we're going to give you, because obviously, I mean, he had a big compound there that and had a lot of people and employees that were searching the world to try to find these people, who have had this experience. And so that's the impression I got, though, was that it was kind of like pushed to the corner kind of thing of oh, you just be over there and do your thing, and we'll give you money to have it done, but stay out of our face,
Yeah, definitely.
So we got a couple of quotes here, and I like the first one we've got is when the bullies, when earlier in the movie when the bullies run into Freddy, they make a comment about that the dent won't buff out that came from his little crutch. But then later when Shazam smashes their car, Freddy gets the chance to say, I don't think that's going to buff out. So that was really good.
Yeah, it was. And I love when, it's like, it was just after the burglary and, that whole scene with they're trying to get beer and then something happens. He goes, go out there. And then Freddy tells him, go out there. Okay. And they start shooting. He goes, you have bullet immunization. and he's like, I'm bulletproof. And then he goes, well, how do we know you truly are? Maybe it's just a shoot. Shoot for his head.
Yeah, that was great. Shoot him in the face. Yeah, shoot me in the face. Wait, no, don't. And
he goes, and then you're dead. And then, which makes me laugh because I'm thinking, well, he stole Freddy's Superman bullet.
Yeah.
And you would think it's like Freddy would just go down there and start pulling up the bullets that were shot to Shazam to sell on eBay or something or to hold on to.
Yeah, I was a little surprised at that too when he dropped that bullet, that he didn't just grab the grate and pull it up, because you would think he wouldn't know his own strength. He would have just grabbed the grate and pulled it up and then tried to reach down in there. And obviously, I mean, it probably fell too far for him to get. But it's still, that was the only thing that I went, why didn't he just try to get it? Like, he didn't even try. It just fell down the grate and he was like, oh, stupid adult hands, and but yeah.
Yeah, and it is funny, though, after the robbery scene, though, it's like you see them walking out, and he goes, sorry about your window, but you're welcome for not getting robbed.
Yeah, that was great. And that girl just kind of looked at him when he was like trying to do that whole adult British accent, and, I'd like to have some of your finest beer, please, And,
there's like so many good points, too, especially throughout the whole movie. You could go on, and the jokes were there, and they were there for the right time, though.
Yeah.
There are other movies where it's just like, oh God, no, don't do that.
Yeah, it definitely had some great comedy moments. I liked when when the lights go out initially when he shoots the power box, it's when he's in the house, when the power comes back on, and then he's in the house and he realizes that all he has to do is say Shazam, which was another thing that I was like, you would think that he didn't. I'm surprised he didn't try that. He hadn't tried that already. But I guess he wasn't a superhero kind of guy. He didn't, think about that. And I was kind of surprised that maybe Freddy didn't think about that because he obviously told Freddy the whole story about the wizard, because when Billy started to tell the sister about the wizard, Freddy's like, maybe we won't mention the wizard yet. We don't want to bring that up.
Yeah.
So you would think that he would have already tried that, saying the name again. But, when he finally does say the name again, he reverts back to Billy, it blows out the power in the house, and Rosa, the wife, looks at Cooper Andrews, and he's like, all I did was screw in a light bulb, thinking that he had done it. So
yeah, and plus there was a cool scene at the end when they get to when you see all the statues go back to where they were, the 7 deadly sins go back to statues, and you look, and Freddy goes, you know what this looks like here?
Yeah.
And then Billy goes, and they're both in their superhero looks. He goes, it's a lair.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, what? How long ago in the movie they were looking to get a loan to get a lair?
Get a lair, yeah. We have a lair, So yeah, I think you're right. It's pretty cool, and I'll be interested to see what does happen with those other children and their powers, because I part of me thinks that it's going to be a one-off thing. Part of me thinks that it's not going to that we're not going to see them have those powers again.
Yeah,
But that's my opinion. And
but we don't know until we see it. And my feeling is, I like to live with the idea. It's like maybe they have them and they just show up one day
yeah,
in a movie.
yeah, could be.
I have a couple of notes. We already talked about the whole big thing.
Mm-hmm.
I already said it about the piano scene in the toy store, because they actually, if you look, they stepped on the piano.
Yeah, I thought that was a great homage to Big when that happened. When Billy steps on the keys and it starts to play, and then the doctor runs at him and it's playing. So yeah, that was a great. And I didn't pick up on it right away. It wasn't until a few minutes later that I was like, oh, the piano in the floor. That's like Big. And this show is kind of like Big. So yeah, that was a good.
And then the actual wizard Shazam talks about there was a champion before Billy.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Black Adam. And that's what they were referring to. Because there's going to be a Black Adam movie that's coming out. And Billy was, and then but I realized he was referring to Black Adam, which The Rock is going to play in another movie. They're already setting this up. So my hopes is that the next movie will be Black Adam and Shazam.
That's interesting you bring that up, because I don't remember a lot from the Shazam comics and stuff earlier from when I was a kid. So I didn't pick up on that. I thought when he was talking about that, when we see that image of a younger version of the Shazam, I thought that was just a younger version of him. Because they make a comment about when he's talking to the Deadly Sins, when he's trying to recruit Dr. Sylvain, Thad Sylvain, he says something. The demons say something about the wizard is old and his power is fading. It's stuff like that. So I thought when they showed that image, I thought that was just a young version of the wizard. But that's an interesting point you bring up, that it could be this other character. Now, was this other character, was he a good guy or was he a bad guy, or?
From my understanding, because I was not a fan of the comics,
Mm-hmm.
but from what people tell me, it's like a mix. It's like half and half. He can be evil and he can be good. So that's why they call him Black Adam, not because of his skin color. So that's a bit racist if they did that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he wears a black suit. Yeah, he's darker toned in color and skin color.
Uh-huh.
But he does good, but he also does bad, from what I'm told. But I could be wrong. Like I said, I watched this because as a kid I grew up with the Shazam TV show in the 70s, like everybody else. So when I saw this as, wow, this is like that on steroids with a lot of humor and comedy in it.
Yeah.
So I had to go watch this movie. And at first, when I first saw the trailer, or pictures actually of the movie, like filming and making of, when I first saw the suit, I'm like, oh my god, it looks so comic booky.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it turned me off right away. And then it wasn't until I think the first preview trailer that we got, it might have been before Thanksgiving or something, and I'm like, oh, that looks good.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a try. And then we saw more, and I'm like, I have to see this movie. This looks too much fun. And that was the whole point. It turned me right around, because at first I'm like, oh, we got a new DC character. That's Shazam. Oh, he's going to be badass. And then I'm like, why does it look so comic booky? Why does it, the lightning bolt on him looks almost like Black Lightning.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but to give a little note, I looked into it a little bit, and a lot of people agreed with me when I actually were bringing it up on topic before I went to go see it yesterday. The movie is pretty much centered around the new 52 version of Shazam that DC did a few years ago with the comic books. So they redid a lot of their characters as called the New 52, because it was like, I guess, the 52nd year of DC.
Okay.
So they started changing them around a bit.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they it was like a reinvigoration of these characters and rewriting them or repurposing them.
Right.
Pretty much almost like what they did with Superman back in 1988, I think. And I have that, and a lot of people didn't like that, because in that one, Clark's father was alive, and you had Martha that was there. They lived on the farm. He would always go back and forth. There wasn't that whole dynamic of Uncle, his, what was it? It was Martha and I forget.
Yeah,
Ken.
it's escaping me right now that I
Yeah,
can't remember.
I was ready to say Uncle Ben.
Yeah,
But I'm like,
it's,
okay, I'm still stuck on Spider-Man because I did that earlier today.
Yeah, I don't. Was it John or something? Was it
Jonathan? Jonathan
Yeah,
Kent.
Jonathan Kent. Yeah.
So Jonathan Kent's still around. So they try to do that again with the New 52.
Okay.
So it's like a re-envisioning of these characters, which is pretty cool. I really think it's pretty good. And from what I was told, I thought it was a good idea.
Okay.
There are more worlds that they can go into because within that Shazam 52 New 52 era, they're of different dimensions. That's why we saw so many doors in the cavern.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, they were looking for the right door,
Right.
and they were opening up to different. Oh, don't open that.
Yeah. Well, and that thing at the end, whatever that thing was that he was talking to,
The worm.
said something about the 7 realms.
Exactly. And there's so many different realms, and that came from the New 52, I was told.
Okay.
So that it's moving on. So basically, they're gearing up for another movie, whether it be with Black Adam, and it would be nice. I think they're probably going to do a standalone movie with Black Adam, and then they'll probably merge them both by the second movie of Shazam, because he would probably be from one of those worlds. From
Right.
what I understand, what somebody told me. So, but that's all I had, really.
Yeah, and I don't. Everything else I thought we've already really discussed. So I've got a stack of comics I need to read that I haven't read yet.
Same here. I still have to go through. So basically, I have nothing really for comic talk this week.
Yeah, yeah, and there's nothing really in the news. I would say just stay tuned. We are going to be wrapping up the Punisher here in the next couple of weeks. We'll see. We may have a supersized episode here in a couple weeks where we cover the end of the Punisher, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do after that.
Yeah, and if those of you are out there, obviously Shazam just dropped. Hellboy is the next comic book movie to come out. It should be within another week or two, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then we have, at the end of the month, we have Endgame. So we have a lot. So we'll be finishing up Punisher. We'll probably go into Hellboy. We definitely have a couple of fillers if we needed to in the meantime. And then we'll, after Endgame, wow, we got Spider-Man coming out in July. So we're going to come up with an idea of what we're going to do afterwards. After Punisher Season 2.
Hopefully we'll get an announcement for Jessica Jones Season 3 at some point. Yeah. We haven't got that announcement yet. We know it's out there. We know it's finished. Well, we've just got to get a message about it. And then, of course, we still, for those of you who are listening to us, we still have not gone back and done Jessica Jones Season 2 or Luke Cage Season 2. So.
Yeah, we still have a little bit of material out there for those people that want to hear it, because there are other podcasters that have already done it as it came out, and they did it really fast. We're just doing this at our own leisure, but that way it gives you guys a different view, because everybody has different opinions about these shows.
So send them in to us and give us your recommendations for what you think we should do next.
Yeah, exactly. You could always get in touch with us through our Facebook page, or you can get through us through our email, which we'll talk about at the end. But in the meantime, we have a couple of podcast recommendations. What do you recommend?
Well, I had so much fun. I had a lot of fun yesterday. Friday, I was able to, I guest hosted with Kristen on House Podcastica, which is a Game of Thrones rewatch. They have wrapped up Season 7, Episode 7, with me as the guest host, The Dragon and the Wolf. That should be coming out here sometime in the next few days, 7 days. I think they're a Wednesday drop. I think a Wednesday or a Thursday drop. And then after that, they are going to do a Hopes and Dreams episode. And then they're full speed ahead into Game of Thrones starting April 14th. That's it's a week away, Brian. That's a week away, Mark. I can't believe I just did that. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
It's a week away, Game of Thrones, and can't wait to hear it. Also, some good friends of ours, Avelino, Erica, and Christina, have a autism awareness podcast that's called Another Piece of the Puzzle. I highly recommend. I've listened to the first episode of this, and it's really, really good. They are talking. They all have children that are on the autism spectrum, and they talk about the diagnosis, they talk about dealing with it, some resources for you. So if you have a child that deals with that is on the autism spectrum, or if you have any interest in understanding that situation a little bit better, I really encourage you to check out another piece of the puzzle, and that is on this network. It's on the Next Level Radio Network, Next Level Online Network, Next Level Podcast Network. It's one of those. Another piece of the puzzle. Search for another piece of the puzzle. You'll find it.
Another one we'd like to recommend would be the Walking Dead cast on Podcastka. This is the one that started many of us into podcasting, especially Steve and I, and actually bring a lot of our friends into podcasting on that particular network as well. As he mentioned, House Podcastka. Kristen wasn't a podcaster before she started doing that. Jason just loved her view of Game of Thrones, and with a lot of change that was going on for the Game of Thrones podcast on his network, he just thought, give it to a great fan, and that she is, and she is the most knowledgeable person of anybody I know on Game of Thrones. So I recommend definitely the Walking Dead cast for Walking Dead. And to submit your feedback, we also recommend you speak to us. And the way you could speak to us in any feedback form would be Facebook. So that would be www.facebook.com/panels2pixels. Another way for you to get in touch with us would be email, which would be panels2pixels1@gmail.com. That's panels2 pixels 1@gmail.com. And if you guys could submit some sort of voicemail, that would be great, because Steve does it all the time. And look where he's at. He's on everybody else's podcast, including this one.
It's true. It's true. You can hear Mark as co-host on the Walking Dead Talk-Through with Brian Malash on the Golden Spiral Media. They will be starting the Fear the Walking Dead Talk-Through, which will be coming back in June. I believe June 2nd is the return of Fear the Walking Dead. That'll be coming up. And Mark just wrapped up the Walking Dead Talk-Through with a new co-host, Alex, and that podcast should be dropping very soon.
Yeah, you could hear Alex, Brian, and I. And Alex is just a friend. We tried to get Steve, but he was busy with House Podcastka. So Alex came on to be a third person, because we didn't want to be too much of a negative nanny, but I brought a little light into it. Brian actually had some light on the show, too, because we weren't really happy with the final episode. But it wasn't all bad, but it wasn't all good either. But for a finale, you'll have to listen to the podcast, because Alex brings up really cool things, and it does even out in a way. We're not saying we didn't love the show or we hate the show or anyway. We love the show, The Walking Dead. It's just that personally I thought it fell short of a season finale, but it reminded me of Game of Thrones. They gave us that second to last episode to be the greatest, and then hey, here's the last episode.
I liked it. I respectfully you know.
I know you did. Yeah,
exactly.
We read your feedback.
Yeah, exactly. And
I'm
a huge Walking Dead fan, so I'll always advocate for it. But no, I do appreciate you guys' view on it. I can't wait to hear that. I'm looking forward to listening to it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And if all of you out there listening, you want to hear Steve, obviously you could hear him here. And he submits feedback to various other podcasts, just like House Podcastka, Strange Indeed, Lost. We have to go back. Yeah, that podcast here on this network. So yeah, he leaves a ton of feedback. So learn from his example. Send feedback.
Oh, goodness gracious. And you can now hear Panels to Pixels on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play. So check us out. Give us a review on whatever podcast player of choice you use.
Yeah, definitely. We would love to hear some of those. Because the Facebook shows a 5 out of 5 on actual podcasts, which I like. But we'd like to hear more from you people. If you're listening out there, I don't want to play Pink Floyd, say, is anybody out there? But come on, just send some feedback. We've had some on Facebook, and it's great to hear from everybody and their opinions. So with that, thank you, everyone, for listening. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And this was Panels to Pixels. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
His name is Captain Sparklefingers. No, it's not. That's not my name.
Chosen one.
Oh, you're like a bad guy, right?
You literally did the opposite of what a superhero is supposed to do.
You're him. You're the hero.
You're welcome for not getting robbed.
I'm Batman.
Get him back in.